Welcome to Ajax United FC. I'm joking. It's the Man United show. However, it can be mistaken with all the transfer rumours you're seeing, where constantly Man United are linked with every single Ajax player or anyone that's even flown over Amsterdam right now. But it's not the truth. You are in the Man United show. It's still Man United, and the only Ajax entry to Man United so far is Erik ten Hag. All right, I'm joined by a top panel tonight. My co-host Nathan Allen. How are you doing, Nathan?
Great, all good.
All right, and Garth as well. How you doing, Garth?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks for having me, mate.
And of course, Marcel. How you doing, Marcel?
Hi guys, I'm very anxious. I'm a little bit anxious now. I would never say this. I would never say this usually, and I'm really positive, and I'm still positive, guys. But just a little bit tentative with the business now. It's starting to drag on a little bit. My deadline day hasn't come yet, but a little bit nervous now.
There's a message to Man United, yeah. When Marcel's starting to sway to the unpositive side, you need to start fixing up. All right, don't turn this man here. All right, he's one of the good ones. All right. Let's first of all, news came out the other day that Harry Maguire is set to stay but could lose his captaincy. It came out that the Manchester United star Harry Maguire is very calm and not worried about losing his captaincy under Erik ten Hag. It has been claimed. There has been murmurings that the England international will lose his armband, having endured a tough campaign last time out. Cristiano Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, and David De Gea are the three players who have been tipped to replace him in this role. Nathan, you're not Harry Maguire's biggest fan. Do you think this is a good move for Erik ten Hag to strip him of the captaincy and start again?
Yeah, we got players now that are more suited for that kind of role now. So I know when he first came, I was actually the one thinking, you know what, he needs to get it. There ain't even no one in the squad that should really get it. So when he came, it's a different circumstance. But today, he needs to say, listen, I know there's bigger men there now. You guys, listen, I'm taking this off. Who's taking it? That's what he should be saying. He should know that in his heart, in his head, however you want to look at it, he doesn't deserve it and he shouldn't have it. Not being disrespectful, even not in a disrespectful way. He just should know, listen, you guys, there you go. I took it for a bit. I looked after it for a bit. But here we go now. Let's move on to the next chapter and I'll forget that I ever had it. That's what I want to see and hear from a guy like Maguire. He should just take it on the chin and move on and keep moving.
Can you see many players in football doing that full stop? Holding hands up and saying that I'm not the captain.
Look, if you know your role, you know what you are, then you should. Like, we all know where we're at. I know some people are a bit egotistical at times and, you know, they don't want to accept what they know. But look what happened with AJ the other day. He's having the next fight with Usyk. What did he say? You bust my ass. The last fight. Not like all these other fake boxers who go, oh, I thought I won the fight. You know you didn't win. You know you didn't win the fight. You know you got your ass bust. Same like Maguire. I'm not as good as these other guys at being captain. So you guys take it over. That's what I believe you should do. Whether you feel like that or not, I don't think he should really have much of a say in it, to be fair. I think it's overwhelming that he shouldn't really have it. So it only makes sense for us to move to the next chapter and kick on with someone else that's, you know, able to take it on and handle the pressure.
All right, Garth, what's your thoughts on this? You think it's time for a change, complete change, new management, get rid of the captain and start again?
Yeah. I mean, if I might, I'd go one step further and get rid of captains completely. It's such an antiquated thing in football, specifically British football as well. Like, I've read somewhere before that the rest of Europe don't really care about who their captains in the team. They have leadership teams, etc., etc.
Yeah, it's club captain, isn't it? That club captain is more important than the captain on the pitch.
Yeah. So, and there's many I've got leaders in the dressing room now. So, but yeah, if we've got to have a man with an armband on, then yeah, we've got to take off Maguire just to ease the pressure on Maguire more than anything else. He's got a fresh start now under ten Hag, clearly, and we're all going to have to get used to the fact that he's going to be centre back next season for us. Fresh start, new system. hopefully he can get to the best of his ability, because no matter how bad we think he is, he's not as bad as he's shown this season, like most of the Man United team. As to who I'd give it to, I mean, it's Ronaldo, isn't it? Really, I would never give it to Bruno, not with his tensions on the pitch. So, and De Gea, you're setting him up for a fall, ain't you? With all the fans at the moment hating on De Gea, so it must be Cristiano, I suppose. You go Ronaldo as well,
yeah. I'd go with him at the moment, the way it is. Because he's the main spearhead. He doesn't care. When he gets any pressure, he rises to it straight away. And he shows it on the pitch, doesn't he? He shows. Everyone saying, don't play him. Bang, bang, bang. What now?
Exactly, yeah.
Bang. Okay. All right. Hat trick. Okay. You're playing. Okay. Keep going.
It's also an easy win because he's only there. Well, you'd think he'd be there for one more season. So if you really do want to change, then it's a one season captaincy, move on. Yeah, I think easy win. Marcel, what's your thoughts on this? Would you be changing Harry Maguire as captain? Fresh start?
Yeah, instantly. Just feeding off of Nathan's point in terms of, the ego side of things. The first game at home against Liverpool, the interview after the game that Maguire gave us was shocking. Even the clip, the bit of propaganda that he was doing before the away fixture against Liverpool. Really poor kind of captaincy mentality and behavior. I think that some of the things that he was saying before that game was absurd. So, definitely, this is too big for him. Another point is to make, though, similar to what Garth was saying, I don't think anyone else can really be the captain at Man United. It's hard to kind of be the man above Ronaldo. A lot of players, I think, in a way, have kind of tapered their game, or Bruno, for example, I think his game's been a little bit hindered by the fact that you have to kind of play to that kind of player. But once everyone kind of understands Ten Hag's system and how to play to Ronaldo's strengths, I think goals will come. So it's very hard when somebody plays at that high level so consistently in their life. There's so much of an example to the world of football. It's hard to become a captain above that. So it's an easy win to just give him the captaincy.
Do you think he potentially get any more out of Ronaldo by giving him the captaincy?
No. But out of the players beneath him, yes. And that's just simply because of the example that a player of that caliber sets.
And you're hoping that this will alleviate the pressure off of Maguire and he can concentrate just on playing.
I hope that it pushes him to being sold at some stage, and that might be quite a damning thing to say, but it just has shown throughout the whole season, Kieran, that he just is not good enough, unfortunately. It's a whole season's body of work. At Leicester, he was in a 3. He now comes to United and is in a 2, but we were playing counter-attacking. So majority of our players for majority parts of the game were behind the halfway line. Now, when you're asking a centre-back to play beyond the halfway line and guard all the space behind him, a lot of attributes to his game are shown to not be there. The characteristics, the mentality of a captain, we're not seeing it from him. I would say, even though Garth was disagreeing, I like Bruno as captain. For different reasons, of course.
What reasons would you like Bruno as captain?
I like the moaning on the pitch. He's arguing for points and for chances and for 50% for Manchester United Football Club. That's why he moans. Majority of the time, especially to the ref or fouls that he doesn't like. I like players that I like that. He wants any sort of luck, anything to be on his side for his team. That's the kind of player I am sometimes. So I kind of see similarities in that. His work rate.
No, you can't captain that won't take accountability. So
you don't think he takes accountability, guy?
No. As soon as he does something wrong, he's always pointing at someone else or throwing his hands up in frustration. I know where you're coming from, but he doesn't. He's not a player that looks at himself and says, that was my fault right there. So
I think he does. You know but he is a player that moans at, I don't want to say the lesser players, but I do see him a lot of time moan at a Fred, moan at a Tellez. But that's really it. I rarely see him say anything to Ronaldo. I see him encourage Rashford.
Yeah.
He encourages Rashford a lot. A lot of the time, he encourages Alanga a lot. So there's just certain ones within the dressing room that I feel like Fred, out of anyone in our club, has been the one that can accept, negativity and is able to. He has the minerals for that. We are so damning to him, but he still produces a moment against Crystal Palace, the right-footed goal. So he has bad moments, but he can take on that criticism from Bruno, and I think they have a good relationship. Maybe Tellez tapers his game when he hears it. Yes, Shaw does. Yes, Maguire does. But the characters. They're strong enough to take that criticism from a captain.
You know what? I got to add to that because it's just like because when Bruno first come and Cristiano wasn't there, I could see everything you're talking about, about he could be our captain because he was the guy leading everything, spearheading everything, chances, goals, setting up everyone, making sure everyone was everywhere. So he does have it. He does. But since Cristiano came, it's like he's a little bit in his shell. He can't take all of them shots and miss them because Cristiano needs to take them and miss them. So now it's like he's a bit suppressed the same way he's a bit suppressed at Portugal. So it's a tough one. But I wouldn't like to see him captain while Cristiano's still here because he's still got that complex. I'd like to see him probably do it afterwards if he can come back to the same old Bruno that we saw when he first come. That makes sense. So, yeah, I just wanted to add that point.
Yeah, I'd like to add on to that as well. Off the back of what Marcel said about he may do it to lesser players. I think with a captain, for me, a captain needs to have that side of him, but he needs to also have that side where he needs to know when to stop that and have a word in the ear and put an arm around the shoulder. It's not just on the pitch, it's off the pitch. Like a captain for me is a captain. He's like a second manager. He's like an assistant manager. He's there. He's helping everything. And I don't know whether Bruno does that off the pitch. And from what I do see on the pitch, I can't have the arms frailing. You can have a captain who will dig into people and tell them to buck up their ideas. But I'm with Garth in the way that he does it. I think that rubs too many people up the wrong way, and you need to have a captain who's going to acknowledge that and know when to be like the good guy as well. And I think Cristiano can do that.
Yeah, it's weird. When I was at Wigan, when we was that championship winning team, so many captains, man. Goalkeeper John Filan, absolute captain.
Was it your centre back? Dezui? Is it?
Dezui wasn't there. It was we had Ian Breckin and Matt. What's his name now? He was my actual teammate at Watford as well. His name's going to come back to me. But basically, pretty much everyone would be on your case if you wasn't doing your job. So throughout the span, Graham Kavanagh, it was in midfield as well. He came from Cardiff. He came in there.
Top player,
and you can see he's that type of mentality. Yeah. That's always on his game, like always playing on his game. And then you've got people like Jason Roberts, who was up front, but he'd make sure that I'm on my game and make sure I'm doing the right. So then Lee McCulloch's on the left. He was on the left a bit. He'd just do his thing, but then he wouldn't really talk too much. But it's like everyone's a winner. Like when everyone's a winner, it's a different thing, isn't it? It's like you don't even look at it as, who's going to be captain? It's like, we're all captains here. Let's just go and win these games. So it makes a difference when you're winning all the time, to be fair. Mm-hmm. But yeah, when you can look around and you see everyone looks like a captain, you got a squad and you're going to win things. You've got a good chance of winning things. So United need to get that amount of players where you go, he could be captain, he could be captain, they all could be captain. That's what it used to be.
It's tough. It's tough though. It's tough because you've got nowadays you've got a different balance of mentalities in the squads. Whereas back in the days, it was very much like it was almost like if you've not got the mentality, you ain't going to do it. You ain't going to make it. If you can't handle that dressing room, you're not going to handle it on the pitch. You're not even going to put you on the pitch. Whereas nowadays, I don't know, but it feels a little bit different. It feels a little bit softer in a good way as well. It's not in a bad way. But I don't know. It just feels different. It just feels. I don't think you're going to have a squad with 10 captains in it unless you're playing in lower league. That's my fault.
Yeah. Do we think that money that because players are getting paid so much, their egos may be inflated to a certain degree? Like there's so many players maybe on the same money as Maguire. And higher, so then they maybe just their attitude, the way they carry themselves. When Nathan says what he's saying about so many captains, I think of a Man United 08, 09 team or Jose Mourinho team at Chelsea where there was just so many of them that can really be a captain. But they were all the captain maybe was earning the most, and everyone was only on like 100K would be the most that a player would be earning. So does that change the habits of players? For example, like Mbappe's on an astronomical wage. Neymar's game, he could have maybe taken himself to another level. But captaincies, like we were saying, in Italy, it doesn't matter. It's just about the mentality, or like what's your behavior, what's your desire to improve your game and be better. But does money maybe change that for players?
I don't know. What's your thoughts, Nathan? Do you think money changes that for players?
I think it can do. Just because obviously when you I looked at the Lingard situation recently when I'm seeing that he's rejected an offer for West Ham and so much money that they're going to offer him, and then he's saying, no, I want more. And I'm thinking, wow, a player of your caliber is like rejecting that kind of money for that level of football. It's mad. Like, what are they thinking these days? If you get what I mean, what's happening? So it is starting to creep into the game where players are getting paid far too much for what they've done so far. They're getting paid too early, and then they think that they're further on than they are. And then you're like, no, I should be playing. No, I should. And then you got players on that amount sitting on the bench. Like when players come in from, imagine Donny starts playing well. What's he gonna say? I want 300 grand now. It's like, because this guy is on this much and he don't even play. That's what's gonna happen, and it's a killer, to be fair. And I think, to be fair, the generation mindset of this generation, like Cristiano said, they're not the same. They're brought up differently, and they're not to be as strong. They weren't. When we grew up, we could take anything. We could take anything. We'd be taught, shouted at everything when you're coming up. You don't play, no problem. I'll come back. I'll fight. I'll be harder. I'll be better. Now, I swear, I even see it when I'm coaching the younger players. They get upset when you tell them something that they're not quite good at, and you can try and help them to be better.
Yeah, but is that not a manifestation of being softer from before? Because before, like, I know when I used to get grilled by my old man, I'd feel like it, but you wouldn't show it. You wouldn't be like, you'd be like, yeah, I'm all right. I'm carrying on. Gloves on. Like, as soon as he gets within a distance, you're swearing under your breath at him. But like nowadays, like you're not gonna be as harsh on the kid, because they say it's essentially like you wouldn't have a go at a kid trying to read a book, trying to learn how to read. It's the same way you shouldn't have a go at a kid trying to learn how to play football. The mentality is different.
Yeah, but when you can do it, it's when you can do that thing and you're not doing it, you should have a go at them. You know what I mean? When you know that you can work hard, you can shut down, and you're not shutting down, you can get at them, can't you? If you're a good player who can hold up the ball well, and you know how to do it, you've done it multiple times, and all of a sudden you're just like lazy, not reacting quickly, not like deciding to be on your game. Listen, get hold of the ball. What are you doing? Be ready. Like, react. Don't react. Anticipate. What's wrong with you? That's what they'll be saying if you've been known to do it already, and then you're not doing it. It's another thing going, why didn't you whip that ball in the top bins? Like, if you can't do it, you can't shout at Maguire because he's not quick. You can't shout at Maguire when someone twines him inside out because he can't move. He can't move. So what are you going to say? Be faster? No. You can't say, be more agile? No. The players are just too fast, too quick for them. So that's the problem. That's what I mean.
I think mentality is a big part of it as well, because a lot of players around, say, Jordan Henderson, all have that same mentality. They pick players with that same mentality. I don't think Maguire, is somebody, like you were saying before. There's people, and you gave an example of your personal situation, Kieran. There's people that can take the angry or the shouting side of things and develop their game further. But sometimes, people that have the arm around the shoulder, they cultivate and get better game. They perform better that way. So maybe you need to have a squad of similar kind of mindset and a push. That's their push intrinsically from the mentality. And then the captain, it's easier for the captain to then shout at people or instruct, that kind of thing.
I definitely think it's more of a case of you've got to get the personnel that are of a similar mindset, not necessarily exactly the same, but similar, than to just going from black to white. It's a bit like, as you would know, you saw Jose Mourinho at Chelsea, where it was the world's against me mentality. We're building an army. You try to take that to Man United, it's a bit disjointed. It didn't work in the end. So, but Chelsea bought into it. Garth, what's your thoughts on it? Do you think that the money plays a part in it?
Yeah, I think Nate touched on it. It's not the money per se. It's the too much too soon these days, when like trainees are getting offered 30 grand a week, you know what I mean? And they're trainees, they're 17 years old. Like, it should go back to the old days where they were cleaning first team boots. Like, I remember, I know that's old school, but that, pay your dues though. You just sweep out the dressing room, you know what I mean? Like, when that was paying your dues. 100%. And like, I remember on that Class 92 DVD, you hear, I think it's Nicky Butt talking about he was Eric Cantona's one. He was Eric Cantona's boot cleaner. And that's what he was saying. That's what he was saying. Like, and at Christmas, they like the first team player would give you a little bonus. Cantona forgot. He had to go and and Cantona was well upset that he forgot and everything. it builds character. You know what I mean?
It does,
Nicky,
honestly.
Nicky Butt can then go and talk to Eric Cantona, who's this mythical figure at Old Trafford. You know what I mean? About the fact that he's got one up on him and things like that. I know you can't anymore, but there should be something like that where they have to pay their dues. And even it's not even so much they shouldn't get that money because that's the going rate. That's the market value. That's what they're worth. That is what it is. So, but they should still be made to pay something as they're coming up through the ranks instead of, because otherwise they're untouchable.
Yeah,
they really are. These kids, they are untouchable now. There's nothing you can do. What can you say to an 18-year-old multi-millionaire? You know what I mean? You can't. But no, yeah, too much too soon. Say again, sorry.
It ruins the football after because the options they've got when they're not good enough for the level and they move, they can't move because they're on so much money and they're going to reject everything and no one can pay. That's what happens with players. Like we had it with few other players. Basically, we've seen it in and around like teams like Man City, where the young boys are paid a lot, maybe 5-10 grand a week. So then all of a sudden, they've not made it pro. They did a 1 year pro, then couldn't get another year. Then they go to a championship team thinking that they're going to get a championship team, but they're not proven. So they can't get 5K or 10K. They got to be on 1K, 2K, but they're on 5K lifestyle. So they got a house, they got cars, they got to pay, but they're not going to take that. So they're like, oh, no, I'm not going less than championship. But you're not a championship player. You just in the Premiership team, but you're not in the first team. You was in the
23s.
So you're a youth team player still. So you might even be a National League player thinking that you're championship. You're not. So you have to earn your stripes. Go down the levels. Don't worry about the money. If you're good enough, you'll get back up there. Go and play at your level that the highest level you can, where someone's going to take you in the first team. Then kill it, smash the league up so much that everyone goes, wow, he shouldn't be in this league. Then he goes up, then he goes up, then he goes up, and he gets paid what he's worth. That's what you should be doing. But this is what I mean, what happens. Players come out of the game from that kind of stuff. They can't handle going so far down the league, playing on bad pitches with not as good players who can't find them. It's a whole lot of frustration. There's so much to the game that's messing up, but not enough time to speak about it all. So
yeah, there's quite a good story. It's a quick one as well of Mikel Antonio speaks about that, about going down in the leagues, went to AFC Wimbledon. They wouldn't pay his registration fee, so he left there, went and played non-league, was there for about 10 games, scored however many goals, got picked up by Reading. They then loaned him back out to that team, and he was scoring, because he was on full-time, he was scoring hat-tricks weekly. Next thing you know, he's playing in the first team the following season. So it's not all about the money. It's about getting game time. All right. Next up, this is a big one last week. Richard Arnold meets the fans. Richard Arnold made headlines on last Saturday night after his stunning face-to-face with anti-Glazer protesters at the Boot Inn in Willington, giving a damning verdict on his predecessor Ed Woodward's reign. In a brutal assessment, he said, "We were effing burned through cash. We spent £1 billion on players. We spent more than anyone in Europe. I'm not thrilled with where we are. It doesn't sit easy with me, and it needs to get sorted." He went on to say that the last 12 months has been an effing nightmare, and that England players returned to the club after defeat from the Summer Euro 2020 final and with a confident shot. Nathan, was this as a surprise to you as it was to me that Richard Arnold had met the fans, or is this what they're like up north? They're gritty. We've seen Martin Ashley do it with Newcastle fans. Is this just a northern thing, or was you stunned?
I don't know, but what I do like is the fact that we're hearing it from the horse's mouth, where we've not heard much of that for a long time. And now that we're hearing that kind of stuff, it just shows that hopefully they're thinking exactly how we're thinking, and they're what they want to do to rectify it is along the lines of what we want to do. We're thinking, how much money do we're going to be using this year? We've been told, like, if it's true, we don't know, but at least it's come from the horse's mouth. We can look at that and everyone can say, yeah, hopefully that's 200 million that we can really spend on making this sorted. The stadium, mention it also about how you're going to improve the stadium. Okay, we need some investors to be able to do that. Great. We know what we need, and we know when we're talking about these things, it's actually not just an idea in our heads and we're talking about it. It's something that they're thinking about, and that's probably going to be happening over the next coming years. So it's nice to know. Obviously, it doesn't help the fact that it still happened, but at least they're aware and they feel exactly like we feel. in these aspects. So I just hope that we can make the right decisions this time. Ten Hag being in looks like all good, but I just want to see him like. Hopefully, we're linked with other players than just Ajax players as well soon, and hopefully we get something going and we get some players in and we start seeing this actually come into fruition. Are you muted?
Oh, yeah, you're muted. You're on mute, Kieran.
Yeah, I was testing to see what your lip reading skills were like. Obviously, you ain't playing that game.
Hand over the mouth didn't help, mate. Hand over the mouth didn't help at all. So.
Hand over the mouth, yeah. Like the footballers do it. What were your thoughts when you first saw the video of Richard Arnold speaking to the fans?
Well, first of all, I've got to say, and I mean this, I hate the idea that football fans think it's within their right to go to a man's house and like where his family is and protest outside it. Like, I hated it when we've done it before. I hated it when they were doing it to Woodward. Like, there's football and then there's life, people. You know what I mean? Like that's the man's home. Leave him alone. I thought it was a ballsy move from him to go and do it. I thought it was stupid though, because he said things that he was placating the fans there and then. There's no way he means everything he said there. There's no way, because he was saying word for word what Twitter has been saying for the last 3 months. You know what I mean? Everything that Man United fans got problems with, he's on our side. You know what I mean? It sounds like he doesn't like the Glazers when he works for them. So like, let's temper that down. You know what I mean? Oh, we've burnt for £1 billion. He doesn't like. It was foolish of him to not think he was going to get filmed as well. But yeah, look, listen, it's nice to hear it. I'll take it with a massive pinch of salt because it's still no transfer business has been done. I hear that we've got the money for Frankie de Jong. I hear that the player wants to come. So let's pay the man, let's pay the money and get the player. Yet again, we're not. So at the moment, it feels like it's the same old at Man United. But yeah, listen, I really didn't like that they were going to go to his house to protest. I really don't like a group of fans being classed as fans. Like Arsenal had this back in the day, Man United got it now. Like, these are the Man United fans. No, like, they've got their own agendas and their own. Like, we're all fans, but they've got their own things that they're after as well. Let's not get that twisted, if that makes sense. But yeah. Foolish on his behalf, I think. Foolish to do it. Like, fair play to him, but I don't know what there's no win for him really, apart from, because if he doesn't come through with what he's saying there now, then what was it all for? But yeah, no, fair enough to him.
All right, Marcel, what were your thoughts when you saw the video of Richard Arnold in a boozer with the fans?
I second everything that Garth said. He said it perfectly as well. Just I don't like the fact that, you know, it was filmed in a secretive way. I would have preferred if it was something a bit more class done. You know, if he allowed that kind of thing. So I don't agree with that, but it adds so much pressure to himself, Kieran, in terms of, you know, they have to now come through with this, and that's why I'm so positive about it. I'm very happy that it happened. And it transpired the way that it did, because you know, it means that business should take place, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm a bit nervy because I was hoping within the next 7 days, from Monday, something would be done, which still means there's still Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday when the preseason starts. I believe they start their preseason then. So I think he, you know, the fact that he's come out is a positive step to show that I think they do mean business, and they want to try to change. The 10 years is going to be a lot of work to undo, guys, but I hope that it's positive. It's definitely a positive thing from this.
All right, Nathan, fans will often moan about the fact that there's a disconnect between footballers, a disconnect between the board. But when someone so high up at a massive club like Man United goes and sits down and has a conversation, a beer with fans to have a chat, they film it. So should they be surprised that there's this disconnect and this lack of trust amongst football players and people in the game as opposed to fans?
You know, if you're asking really, that like, people are just going to be people, aren't they? Like, that doesn't. It's not a reflection on everybody. It's a reflection on a certain few people who feel the need to do that. You know, to go and do stuff behind people's back. And you know, you could have just said, "Can I film this?" You know, so you know, I'll put it. Even if he says, you could have just asked consent for that. End of the day, I hope it wouldn't have been that much of a problem. I don't think, but if he wanted to keep his privacy, and then maybe it would have got out anyway, which it does, doesn't it? It goes out in the news and everything. So I'd rather not, because then he's going to now be second guessing. Everyone's going to be recording him. So that's not good. So that means he's going to now not speak ever again, potentially not speak no more, and we'll never hear that again, that kind of stuff. But obviously, even the closest people are going to start doing that. So chances are still going to get it happen again. But yeah, it's one of them things in it where it's life today. This is the world we're living in, where everyone's got a phone, everyone record everything, phone calls, recording from anywhere. So it's just, you got to live with it. It's like even this, all that talk, you got to live with it. Everyone's going to know what you're saying, and they're going to see your mouth. You might as well just talk, say what you're going to say, and take whatever comes with it. That's me.
Yeah, it was well naive of him to
it was very naive, naive.
I understand why he's done it, because he wanted to keep him away, and this is what I mean. He's been backed into the corner because he wanted to keep 12 or however many it was angry dudes away from his house. You know what I mean? So he's done that. But to think you're not going to be getting filmed by someone, let alone one of them, someone across the room. You know, I mean, of course you are, mate. Of course you are. So yeah. So I'm hoping that he knew that like he didn't know he was getting filmed, but he knew there was a possibility he was getting filmed. So like Marcel, I'm positive that everything he said is stuff that he can back up when push comes to shove, because I can't imagine someone who's got that job at one of the biggest sporting brands in the entire world would be that silly to not think I'm going to get filmed, or at least, you know, every word I say is getting back to the sun. You know what I mean? So
which probably plays into your where you said he's similar to a script you might have seen off Twitter. Marcel Albert says it was embarrassing. The biggest club in the world's top man has beers with fans. Was that your fault?
No. And if it's done in the right medium or format, it would be nice to have a regular conversations with somebody of that, you know, height. He's representing, like I've said, the biggest club in the world. We're a global brand. So there's, you know, this is not just Manchester's club. This is the whole world. There's people from all over the globe support this club. So it'll be nice to have that dialogue with fans. On a regular basis, to be honest with you. I don't think it's embarrassing. It kind of maybe shows where we're at as a club, that it's kind of like an extreme thing, you know. People go into the man's house and his family. No one should have to be you know, abused or treated in that kind of manner. It should be done in the right way, and it would be nice for that to happen at least, you know, periodically every season or something. So
all right. Well, it didn't stop there. The Manchester United CEO then went on to meet former chief executive David Gill for a spot of lunch following his nightmare week. The pair were pictured outside an Italian restaurant. Now, is he being smart here, Nathan, and trying to sort of get some ideas from one of the greats at Man United in Gill? Is this a smart move for Arnold going forward?
You know what? I was at that same hot restaurant today. I guess why?
Go on. All right. It seems to be the spot.
Next seat to me, yeah. It's funny because that's probably the same place that they all go. But yes, you know, if you can get any kind of advice from, you know, someone who's done well in the past, you know, why not? That's what we all do. You got to look to someone who's done it, been there and done it, and that's what you've got to do to be able to become as good as the others or better. So, you know, I don't blame him for doing that, and I hope that's what a lot of people do. They take a leaf from everyone's book that they can take. Whatever you can take from anyone, you know, that's going to help. You should take it. So I'm happy that he did that, and you know, just hope we get back to winning ways and get back to doing things in the right way, like some of these clubs who are, you know, quite a few years ahead of us now. Yeah.
Garth, it said that Woodward's relationship with Gill wasn't as good or wasn't great, but this potentially shows that there's an actual friendship between Arnold and Gill. Should he be using that to his advantage?
Yeah. Look more like an AA meeting to me. It's a sponsor. David Gill's his sponsor, mate. I made it through another week. I made it through. He's getting a badge for it, bro. I'm making it through as CEO of Man United for a week. So, yeah, listen, look, I'm all for, I always have been, I'm one for taking advice of people that have done this before you. And in, like you said, in a successful manner as well. Like, when all them rumours were coming out that the young players at Man United didn't want to learn off Cristiano Ronaldo, that blew my mind, you know. Like, why wouldn't you? And David Gill was successful, so why wouldn't you go and pick his brains? see what you know what I mean. And it also harkens us back in our mind subconsciously to a time where we're successful. He's now being tainted with a bit of that success that David Gill had. It's now like you don't realise it's happening, but that's what's happening. That's why why else is that news? No, you know, there's a slow news week and then there's a slow news week. CEO meet performance. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, no, it subconsciously it rubs off that he's going to be successful as well. But again, like Marcel was saying, the pressure's on him now. After the video, everything he does is going to be fine tooth combed. Like you said, this was going to happen. It isn't. Why isn't it? So yeah, he can do no right at the moment, and apart from come through with the promises he made. So yeah, it's take what you can get. You know what I mean? So where you can get it.
If you was in Richard Arnold's boots, Marcel, would you be trying to get as much advice as possible from successful predecessors?
Yeah, it's a life lesson. I second both Nathan and what Garth's saying. At the end of the day, it's a life lesson, and that's in any walk of life. Learning from somebody that's been successful before you, even their weaknesses, you know, trying to change that or understanding it. It's experience without you having to go through the experience. And that's what the best people, or the people that end up being the best in whatever they're doing, they're able to take their personal experience and learn from it, but also those elder from them or more successful than them, taking their weakness and strength. So hopefully he's done that, because he might have had that meeting and not done anything like that. So hopefully he's done something along those lines. And Gill was good for us at point. So yeah.
All right. Stratford Sean says, can you imagine Perez or Laporte sipping wine with Spanish locals? No, I don't know. You know, they're a different culture out there.
I liked it. Yeah, I liked it, man. Football clubs used to be like the centre, like one of the community hubs. You know what I mean? So I'm with myself.
Used to drink with fans.
Yeah, maybe not your local boozer, like off the cuff, like this one was, but I'm all for seeing like 20, 30 selected fans, if they're going to like go to a boozer where they can just sit down, have a pint and a pie and talk to a CEO or the sporting director. You know, it doesn't have to be the manager or players, but no, I don't see any problem with it whatsoever. I know where he's coming from, that it makes us look small time maybe, but I really don't think it does. I think it'd be a great way forward for that fan club interaction. You know, I really do. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, what do they call them? I can't remember what they call them, but they have like the fan association group. Of people. They kind of say that they're usually a bit tainted because they're kind of been involved in the club too much now, and to get some actual fans just
catch-22, innit? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Maybe you do it in a medium or format of like a conference every year, and you switch the fans that go in. I think Barcelona held their own financial conference recently, and it was with a plethora of people, different types of, you know, fans, journalists, all the sorts of things. But maybe if you kind of just mix it up every year, and something could work. I don't know.
Did they actually open live donations as well? Because I've seen some Twitter tweets where some of them donations were savage donations. Dembele paying back medical costs and things like that. Yeah, they did it live on Twitch, so they opened up literal, like, you can pay super chats and stuff like that. So yeah, it's quite funny if anyone wants to give it. Well, it's on Twitter somewhere. You can find a super cut of it. So,
all right. Yeah. Albert says, I reckon his wife kicked him out of the house, so he decided to get pissed at the pub.
Mate, I've made some elaborate lies to get down the boozer. But straight up, we've got 6 armed men coming to the house. I've got to go.
Yeah, I've got to go. Have a beer with them. Sweet. Just call the police. No.
No. Yeah, no. Pub's easier. Pub's easier. Calm them down. Let's get them fueled up first.
Albert says, sorry, another question to you guys. No, you can ask questions, mate. What clubs do you think are ahead of us? For me, it's just Liverpool, City, and Chelsea. We'll start with you, Nathan.
City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Spurs currently slightly ahead of us. I actually think Arsenal are slightly ahead of us. We're in and around just ahead of West Ham. I think we're just ahead of that kind of team. Like at the moment, until we get some more players in, I think we're in and around where we finished. Like we're just slightly. Because here's the thing, innit? It's weird because we had such a bad season, yet West Ham, they're supposed to have had a very good season, and look where they finished. So that's where we're at. I think that's it, in and around where we're at. I can't think of anyone else. Have I missed any bigger teams now? And Newcastle are going to be catching up. You know, they're going to be in and around us. We've got to look behind our backs this year and see what happens. I think they will be the next ones that surprise just come up right behind us out of nowhere, and they'll be just behind. They'll be in and around fighting with West Ham next year. I think they'll have moved up that far. So if we're not careful and we don't have a proper off season now transfers, we'll be in the mix with them too. So I don't want it to happen, but seriously, Arsenal, if they get Jesus as well, they're gonna have a striker that they didn't even have really last year. So that was an out and out striker. So they look, putting some pieces in now that are getting a bit better as well. So to be fair, if I was to say we're exactly like someone next year, I'd say we're pretty much same as Arsenal, around about there. So yeah, that's
all right. Garth, what's your thoughts?
If we're talking about the squad on the pitch, then yeah, we're a fourth place side at the moment if they play well, because like we've all said, it's one of the worst seasons. But you're talking about how the clubs run, and I've got to go from what I've seen, not what's happening right now, because nothing's happened right now. Not hope. What I've seen is we are well below West Ham. We're well below Leicester on how our clubs run. Like maybe it doesn't translate onto the league table, but like if our season last season went on for another 5 or 6 games, West Ham were breezing past us. We need. This is what I mean about Ten Hag. It's a massive cultural reset at Man United. Everything has to change because we're not a well-run club. If you're talking about just on the pitch, I can see us being a top 4 team because of the players we've got. This is why I keep saying we need to do an Arsenal, but we don't, because we were in a better position than Arsenal were a couple of years ago. Because we've got a Jadon Sancho, we've got a Bruno Fernandes, we've got a Varane. We've got world stars in our team that you can build around if you want to. So, but yeah, no, I'll stick with what Nathan's saying. 6th, 7th, possibly 8th. That is where we are at the moment. If West Ham and Leicester have a good year, and we have the same year that we've had, because we've seen an 8th place. You know what I mean? So
I think what you can take from those 2 teams you mentioned there is where they were before they got their managers in. Not so much Leicester. Leicester have been doing all right for a few years now, but West Ham were in a horrible place. They kept bad signings year after year, trying to bring in managers with big names and not working when they had David Moyes before to settle them down. Man United are kind of in a situation where they're in a similar situation, not been making great signings, but they've brought in a new manager. They've got to make sure they have the structure. They've got to make sure they bring in the right signings, and then it's about going forward and putting them mentality into players as well. Marcel, what would you say was above Man United right now?
We're behind Klopp's Liverpool, Pep's City, Conte's Tottenham, Tuchel's Chelsea, and I would say we're 5th. And just because those are really well-established Premier League managers, I would say Arteta hasn't got as much repertoire or ability as Ten Hag, so I'll put them joint 5th. So I would say those 4 clubs, they've all those managers have won things with Premiership teams. Ten Hag still has to learn and understand the league. So, that would put him, but I just feel like he's got more. Arsenal don't have enough men in their side, leaders, characters in their side. So I'd put us above them or level with them 5th.
All right. Where are we now? Oh, there we are. As we started off the show, Ajax United FC. Now, as we said, Man United being linked with a lot of players, and in general, it seems to be a lot of Ajax players. Nathan, is there a worry that Man United aren't putting their eyes out further afield, or is just press making easy sort of connections because of Ten Hag?
It feels that way because we've been waiting and waiting and waiting. All we're hearing is the Ajax players. I think maybe now that come to think of it, they're probably only doing that because no one's hearing anything, and newspapers need to put something out that might seem realistic. And it seems realistic that whatever players were doing all right at Ajax, that's the players who are going to be linked to United until something really real comes out. And we know Timber, we know the situation of the Anthony kind of thing where he said whatever. And obviously the De Jong situation where he's at Barcelona, but he was an Ajax player. So you're looking at that and then you're thinking, who's that central defensive midfielder? I'm like, okay, come on. All right, that's fine. But where is everyone else? Like, where is the links to anyone else? And then I started sitting there thinking, I know De Jong's integral to whatever he's going to do. So I think what he's doing is he's thinking, I need to get De Jong in. Once I got him in, I can then target these other players. Because if he's not in, I can't target these players because I might be spending the budget up in the wrong way. That budget needs to be spent on a player who can make my team transform into ball-playing players under pressure, press-resistant. So I understand. I feel like I understand. And that's why I'm not getting kind of too frustrated right now. But I really, really want to see, like, I keep checking Sky Sports. Yeah, I keep checking going. I still think there's going to be a yellow bar very soon with Man United. Something about Man United on there. Like, we've signed someone. Please, just like the next 2 weeks, please. I just want to see something. I don't care if it's from Ajax, but I just want to see, to be honest, I want to see De Jong in. So then we can start seeing the floodgates open. I think that's what will happen. Once one comes, you're going to see more and more like buses, innit? You're waiting for a bus. All of a sudden, 3-4 comes. It's like Chelsea when they did it. Look what they did that season when Lampard come. Bam, 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 bam. All players in. You're like, what? How? How you just sign them all in the same day? Like, what's going on? We need to have something like that happen to just make us all excited about every other player, all the players at one time.
All right. Garth, is there a worry that Man United are not looking at all, or is it just a worry that Man United are looking at Ajax Spurs?
Well, I mean, that's papers taking a gamble with it. The managers come from Ajax, so the papers are taking a punt, and the transfer people are taking a punt on a player's name you haven't heard of before. And then, oh yeah, Man United looking at this player when we're clearly not, you know. So to be fair, I was thinking about it. Man United missed out on two of the best players we could have got from him, that Maguire, the right back, and Gravenbach. They both went to Bayern Munich.
Gravenbach, 35 mil, 16 mil up front. Oh my word!
Bayern Munich got Mane, Maguire, and Gravenbach for less than 70 mil euros this summer.
Crazy. That's
yeah. Their sporting directors doing bits for them.
I know. Behind the scenes, clearly, because getting them for free.
Jeez. But no, listen, that's just pay talk, and it's down to what he wants. If the manager wants all Ajax players, then we go and get them. You know what I mean? But I don't think it's true. I think Nathan. I think we might be up for a worrying time because I don't think we're going to be signing 4 players at once at any point this summer. I think it is De Jong. I think what Nathan's saying is correct, entirely correct. It's De Jong, and then after that, we're going to reevaluate what we've got left in the budget or what they've got left in the budget, and who's out there that fits into the system. Because we need. I mean, we've had this conversation many times now, but we need something basically in every like part of the pitch: defense, midfield, striker, wing backs. We need something everywhere to freshen this team up. So it really does. Get De Jong in for whatever it is. I think it's going to be about 85 mil in it all told. Get him in, get it done, and then we can move on from there. Because otherwise we're going to get stuck desperately trying to sign De Jong, and we could end up. This is what I was saying last week. We could end up in a position where we're a week away from the start of the season, and we still haven't got anything over the line. And then you start. Then you start making the rush decisions, don't you? The poor buys then. So
but even then, even if you was to get to a week before the season and you'd only signed De Jong, you'd still be like, "What's going on?"
No. I mean, if we don't get De Jong, that's what I'm saying. Like, even if we do get De Jong, it's a worry. But if we don't get De Jong with us, that's what. Like, then you're rushing. You know what I mean? Or, like, and you're just buying what's on the top of your list now, almost, ain't you? You know, the next best. And the teams know that you're about to pay 85 million for De Jong. You can pass 80 mil for Ndidi. So
yeah. And De Jong and Ndidi are not the same player.
No disrespect to Ndidi because he's a great player. No disrespect to him at all. But
it's not the same player. It's not about better. It's about they're completely different players. They're completely different profiles, and that's
Isn't that how we ended up with Fellaini? That is how we ended up with Fellaini.
We've all seen it before.
Yeah,
all seen it before, where they identify one player, don't get him in, and go like, he do. Here you go. It was always after him. It's like, no, you weren't. No, you weren't. Marcel, what's your thoughts on it?
That's why it's so important that we're adamant to stick with Frankie de Jong. I feel like there's a hint of maybe Ten Hag's fast tracking this. I know it's a big job to do, but if you can get a spine of players that have already played for you and understand how you're going to play, you know, there's a lot of leaders now, quote unquote, maybe not proper Premier League leaders, but a lot of leaders in terms of teaching you the system. You get Martinez in. We tried to get Timber in. It doesn't look like it's going to come into fruition, but you get Martinez, you get De Jong, who is his footballing father, kind of that number 6 role. You know, Xavi doesn't really trust De Jong in that role. He's got Busquets there, and you know, De Jong kind of plays it almost like a 10, that 6 role. It's so free. It's so picking up the ball anywhere. it's Ten Hag that gave him that trust to play in that way. So if you bring him in, maybe get some steel or an enforcer around him. Plus, you've got Donny already that understands the system, and a winger that understands the system with ability, and Sancho on the other side. You've kind of got players, a spine and a group that would already understand his work. It's a bit easier to get them to play, and it's important that we can get them hit the ground running. So that's why the links to so many Ajax players almost looks like something believable and that could work. I hope that is the kind of tactic that he's going, trying to fast track the kind of revolution of style of football that we're trying to bring to Manchester.
I want to ask you all a question. In Barca's top three, when they had that top three, who was the enforcer, please? Busquets, Xavi, Iniesta.
That's such a good question.
Yeah, it'd be Busquets, wouldn't it? Busquets would be classed as the deep lying midfielder there. But I know what you're saying. There isn't a destroyer there.
He's just as classy and silky as the other two. He's just a different kind of craftiness.
Does that mean that if he brings him in, it could mean a free where it's De Jong, Van der Beek, and Bruno or something? Could that work? He doesn't really play. Even Alvarez, the defensive midfielder for Ajax, he isn't a destroyer per se. He isn't what I talk about when I'm talking about Kamara or someone. So there is always a big possibility that Ten Hag doesn't play defensive midfielder like as we're talking about here, like an all-out DM at all. He plays what you're saying exactly right there. Whether that will work in the Premier League or not, that it will be the £1 million question. Obviously, we'll see because. Sorry.
No, you go first. Sorry.
No, go on, Marcel. I was finished, mate. Sorry.
You're 100% right. Edson Alvarez, I think, is like a high energy player, and I think it will humble him. And I'm talking about Ten Hag. Like you said, he has to learn this Premier League. So, maybe you're right. You're 100% right, Goff. Maybe we know it. Well, I would say I know personally, it should be an enforcer type alongside him. But if he believes it's a high energy guy, just to close down the angles and shuttles, and when we're all pressing high, maybe that's what's required. So, but it will humble him, like he said. Like Pep had to, start using the fullbacks to come inside and revolutionize the game a little bit. I think Ten Hag will come up with something.
All right. Alberts is a great point from Marcel. Ten Hag is getting the players he trusts. Just Donny says we're shopping in a bargain market. I mean, you're not shopping at all at the moment, but
we're window shopping, mate. We're window shopping.
Just taking a look.
It looked nice in the Man United shirt. It looked very nice in the Man United shirt.
Next week, shopping.
Yeah. Next week. It's next week. We'll get him next week.
As you say, Larry says Ten Hag needs to prove himself in the Premiership. Arteta, to be fair, has proven has had what it takes, even with an inferior squad. That's a fair point there. And he says, I have to love you and leave you. See you later, Sean.
The Man United board very much need to treat Ten Hag like Arsenal treated Arteta, which is trust him. That time. 1 year time, trust him, listen to the plan, listen to what he wants to do, and give him the 4 years it needs to turn this juggernaut back round to being the best team in the world. Because that's what he needs. We're all hoping for the miracle, and I hope too that one season down the line we're talking about we're challenging again. But in reality, Arsenal I'm so impressed with how they've dealt with Arteta, and how Arteta's dealt with we were all laughing at Arsenal at the start of last season with their transfers that they made. 130 mil on what? They all turned out to be shrewd bits of business, pretty much. You know what I mean? And he's building a team that he wants to play his way. So yeah, we need to do the same with Ten Hag, where the ball does. We can't get cold feet early.
Yeah, and that's the thing. No, but fans will play a massive part in this because it will get to a certain stage where the ball's going to start getting twitchy feet, and if the fans are also adding to that, then it's curtains. Nate, do you think the fans are going to be patient? I feel like you've got to write off this season or almost, and then potentially even next season. Now, if you've written off this season and let's say you still get into Europe, but it's an up and down season and it's no consistency, it feels similar to what this season felt like, but you're seeing progression potentially in the way that you're playing. If next season you are a little bit better, but you're not really moving up the league, how long does it last until you're getting frustrated yourself? I'll ask you first, Nate.
To be fair, when you look at who he brings in, That's going to determine what we think about what the team can do. Because look at the team we had at the start of this season. When you look at the team we had, we never thought, you know what, we'll be probably about 6. You know, like look at Arsenal. When you looked at the squad, you thought you'll be probably
Man
about
United top
6.
4.
Yeah. But Man United was thinking, no, we can go win it now. We were second. We can win this. My gosh, we got Varane, Sancho, Ronaldo. This is it. We've gone up a notch. So that's what made it such a deflating thing that we were finishing this where we were. Because we were just way lower than what we look like we can do. So at the moment, we know where we are. So if he does better, then we're, end of the day, brings in the good players, we're just then going to say we should be knocking in around the 3rd, 4th position. That's what's going to happen. If we don't, we know we're not looking where we're fighting Newcastle, West Ham. So no matter what you say, you can't say nothing more. When we start losing games against all these teams that we lost to this year, no one can say anything. You're just going to say, listen, give him time. We haven't got the players yet. We know what the players are like and what they've been producing for all these other managers, couple managers that we've had in. So we're going to have to learn to just be able to accept where we are. I know exactly where we are today, and everyone else on this panel has been speaking, knowing where we are right now. Let's see who we bring in to then change our stance on, right, we can't take any less than, right now, for example, we shouldn't be taking any less than top 8, top 7, top 8, the way the squad is right now. If he brings in a De Jong, and he brings in an Anthony, and he brings in a Timber, now you're looking like, right, we got to be really coming out on top of the Spurs and Chelsea, fighting with the Chelsea Spurs. That's what we got to be doing. So let's see what happens. It all depends. Let's see how it works out. Then you got to have patience or not have patience accordingly.
All right. Interesting response there, Nate. Garth, what's your thoughts? I'm logging these.
Look, I think we're quite level-headed on the panel as Man United fans here, but football fans in general, we like when we're with different groups, you can become less level-headed. At the moment, I'm sitting here saying we need to give him 2 years minimum before we even start discussing his league performances. As long as we don't get relegated, he's got to completely change this team. Like he's got to, from top to bottom. 2 years though, if we're seeing like back-to-back 8th places, I know that people are going to start getting twitchy. But I would go one step further and say that fans, not only have we got to be patient, who else is there now? We've been through everyone. Like not every manager known the man, but what I mean is we've had the Conte / Mourinho. We've had the Louis Van Gaal class. We've had the David Moyes, the gritty up and comer. You know what I mean? We've had the legend of the club. None of them have worked for us, and now we're on to the hot young prospect in Europe. There isn't another style of manager available to us. Like who? You know, Poch. But that's it. Yeah, that's it. Like no. So we've got to really, as a whole, the fans, and we're not patient at the moment either. That's the other thing. We've gone 10 years with, you can call it a drought, I suppose, even though we've won a couple of trophies. We've had 10 years of not great stuff after the preceding 26 years, and we're hungry for it. So we really need 2 years minimum. And I mean that by full seasons, get some transfers in, exactly what Nathan's saying, because at the moment he's using the team that didn't do anything for us last year.
Yeah.
Get his players in, and I mean a number as well, not just a Jong. And if we start seeing progression on the pitch, I don't care what anyone says, and we finish 7th, 8th, 6th, we're going to be all right. We'll be happy with that for 2 years. If we see effort, if we see a style of play, and we just got unlucky when we come against Liverpool, we only lost 3-1. It was just one of them games, you know what I mean? We're not 45 points off top or 25 points off, you know, 25 points off 4th place. As long as we're seeing progression, I think we'll be all right. I think we'll be all right. But yeah, we've got to give him time.
What's the most important thing for you to see next season, Marcel?
Ten Hag managing the club and trying to play the style of football that he wants us to play. I feel like once he gets that right, it's the style of football that will win us trophies in my mind. And that's why I'm so positive penultimately. I have a manager now that wants to play progressive football and attacking football and relentless. That's the kind of the ethos of our club. So once he gets that right balance of footballers, and he knows what a winning dressing room feels like. He knows what the right balance of footballers looks like. He just needs to understand the league. I think there was a comment before just saying that he's not proven in this league. But I feel like Garth was saying, he's the young up-and-coming manager, and that's a challenge that he would like to take. So very positive the fact that we've got a manager now that once he gets his style of football correct and it works and the balance is and is right and the dressing room's right, we should win trophies. And that just makes me very positive. As fans, we have to believe in him and we have to stick by him because it's going to be very turbulent. And he's competing against, this is the hardest climate of managerial kind of football and Premier League football that I've seen in a long time. There's like 4 world-class managers at the top. And they all feel like they have the divine right to win Premier League trophies. Yeah. So he has to come and make himself and impose himself in that balance, get the right group of footballers that believe 100% wholeheartedly in the style of football and get the fans on side as well, because we have a lot of cultural differences that we have to get used to in terms of the style of football. Culturally, I don't feel like we're used to this style of football, passing it back all the time, recycling, lots and lots of passes that might not feel like it's happening to any avail. A lot of those things we have to culturally get over at Manchester United. And once we do, I think we'll definitely win trophies under him. So I'm 100% positive in what he will bring for us.
He's definitely going to need a solid PR team for some of them meet some serious media training when it comes to England.
Can I start, Dave, have you ever been in a team where a new manager's come in and they've had to completely shift, or have you moved to a club where the culture is completely shifted, if you know what I mean? Because how hard is it to get on board with someone, like, you know what I mean? If you're so used to setting your ways to saying, how hard will it be to get on board for these players, do you think?
This is I've been at many clubs where, like I've been relegation sides, championship winning sides, but when it's a relegation side and a new manager comes and he needs to change up a lot, it is a hard job, obviously, because it's like a sinking ship you're trying to save. But at the same time, you're trying to save your job, but you're just trying to not lose games at times, and it's so difficult, man. But it's weird. The one time that sticks out in my mind is when I went to Watford. They were a team doing well at the time when I joined, but I joined from a West Brom who popped the ball everywhere, looking between lines, asking for the ball. I joined there. The manager's like, yeah, AD Buford, yeah, you're gonna love it here. It's gonna be unbelievable. And I joined. Come in, come on the bench first game, got on the pitch, and I'm asking Joe B. McAnuff, through, play me through. And then, I didn't get the ball. And then after the game, he says, Nate, you can't do that here. I was like, what?
Joe B. McAnuff's a player as well. Anyone that's played champ knows that Joe B. McAnuff is a player.
Yeah. But we had players all over the pitch, can play ball. And all I heard was, you can't do that here. That just what? What do you mean? Like putting an Atari inside a Mega Drive or something. I don't work in here. This don't work. I don't work in this football. And then after, when we had a meeting, the manager's like, yeah, you play it through. If it gets there, cool. But if it don't get there, you're sitting with me. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. But you know what kind of player I am. I'm not a battering ram. I don't just win headers and chase balls and lost causes. I play intelligent stuff. And that really stopped me from playing. And I shouldn't have been like that. I killed myself a little bit because I felt like, nah, that's not the way I play. I can't do that. If you wanted someone like that, you should have just got a standard player who is big and strong. They're better than me at doing that. But I'm better than him at doing all the other stuff. So it can kill you. And this is my little worry about United right now, is if he's going to use the players he's got to try and play his way. We've seen what's happened with Rangnick. He says he plays that way. We're all loving what he was saying. But he's going to use the players who actually can't do it.
Yeah.
He's never going to get it done. So he has to get all the players in to get what he wants. High energy, high stamina, fitness. That is the main part. I think a lot of players have got the technical ability, to control the ball and pass it. But there's still quite a few that can't handle pressing, getting pressed. They're going to lose the ball too often. So that's why it's hinging on the young, isn't it? So I think he won't do as well if we don't get players in. I don't care. Any man can come in here and try and play with these players. He will not get them playing that football. Pep can come in here, try and get us playing that football. We're not going to do it.
Yeah.
We need to have different personnel in here to get that job done. And that's just that's what I see. Simple.
Yeah, 100%. We need players. We need them soon.
Yeah, and look, like you said, it might not work. We've seen seen managers come in and try and put their style of play in from different leagues. We've seen Dutch managers come in and try and put their Dutch style on in the Premier League. And
Who was it who went Palace? Who was it who went Palace? Was it Cocu?
De Boer. De
Boer, yeah.
De Boer came from an Ajax side who were unbeaten. Like, they were undefeated all season. And they won like 95% of their games. And he lost the first 14 games.
14 games, yeah. 14 games, yeah.
14 games. And they got Roy Hodgson in. So, I mean, he's still free.
Andy Statham.
He's still free. He's available. But, yeah, Man United, they need to be patient. The fans need to be patient. And they need to back the manager. Quick couple of questions before they go, just because I said I'd answer them. Albert asked, what do you think about Varane as captain?
If you're asking me, it's just a thing of, obviously, we know he's got the pedigree and everything, but it's just the language barrier might be a bit of a struggle because he doesn't know English as well. And that's what I'm hearing. So it might be a tough one for him to be able to speak to everyone. And the fact that he's always injured as well, he's injured a bit too much. So you're going to be stripping him of the captaincy every time he's out of the side. It's like every other week there's going to be a new captain. So you want someone who's ever present, number one, and someone who can lead by example, number two, and someone who can accept responsibility when they're not doing it, except when someone else is talking back to them as well. And I don't think Varane fits all of that well enough in a team in England. If he's in France, maybe, but like not here. To be fair, I don't see it. He's one of them players, isn't it? They're in the side. They just play and they're a good player, but they're not like your captain for your team in this country. No, I don't see it.
All right. Quickly, Garth and Marcel. Garth first.
Yeah, no, he's the same as like whenever Rio was captain. That they've got, like Nathan was saying, they've got a pedigree. They are the best in the world, but they're just not captains. And Varane isn't. He's a Rolls Royce defender. He doesn't need that extra responsibility. So.
Yeah, I think a prime example of that was Steve Bruce and Gary Pallister. Steve Bruce was the captain. Captain, broken nose, throw your head in the thing. Because he was a top defender as well. He was always like, why is he not getting an England team? But you got Gary Pallister, who was, for me, a better defender, a better player, more athletic. He was an unbelievable defender. So, yeah. Marcel, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, Varane can't play 3 times a week. Unfortunately not available fit all the time. That's why Maguire was there around, really. Always fit, and that's an important part of the game. I think Bruno follows that ilk in terms of always being fit and ready. And Ronaldo, if Ronaldo's not going to be selected as captaincy, I think Bruno will be second captain. But also alongside that, Varane had Sergio Ramos next to him. Proper leader, 100% leader. And I think that's what Varane's kind of personality is. Yes, he can conduct a back four, but he can't conduct a dressing room, in my opinion, or beyond that. So, we need someone that's a real captain, like you guys have been mentioning, character.
All right. That is all we have time for. We've actually gone 7 minutes over tonight. Very enjoyable pod. Thank you for joining us tonight, Nathan.
Yeah, it's been really good, really good. Every week's good, but it's been really good.
All right, thank you for joining us tonight, Garth.
Yeah, I'll second Nathan's fault. Great time. Thanks for having me.
And thanks for joining us tonight, Marcel.
Thank you very much, guys. And I'll definitely third that point. Fantastic today.
All right. What's he saying? He said Arsenal having 5 captures sounded mad to me at the time, but it's not so stupid. Yeah, I mean, it makes that group, it makes sense. As I always say, please hit that like and subscribe. If you're watching on one of the other platforms, come over to Nathan the Duke Ellington. Because I type in the Man United show. Nathan the Duke Ellington is the name of the channel. That's the name of the channel. So come over to Nathan the Duke Ellington. Go and press subscribe. If you are new to the channel, press that subscribe and press that like. If you go and follow the Twitter, there we go. Make sure you go and follow Twitter at the Man United Show. Thank you for everyone who's joined us tonight. Smashing it in the comments section. All right. Peace out, people. Stay safe and wash your hands.